Welcome back to Black Tie Optional. I'm Sydney.
I'm Colleen.
Let's get into it.
This episode today is going to maybe be a little bit more geared towards vendors, like
Businessy stuff.
So maybe
Taxes,
not couples. Right.
All that. Great.
How to find second shooters, networking, all the things like that. So I guess let's, obviously when you see someone's price, it's not just their wedding day. And that's with any vendor.
Oh yeah, any vendor. People don't take into consideration the back end of things. I feel like I keep saying that, but it's like people really don't get it, and I feel like the more I talk about it, maybe people will get it. I don't know. But things that go into wedding photography. Let's start from the beginning. Okay? You're going to email. Mm-hmm. We're going to respond.
Yeah.
You're going to say, "Hey, I want to move forward with booking. What am I going to do as a vendor? I'm going to send you a questionnaire, and I'm going to send you a contract, and we're also going to set up a phone call." That phone call is going to last anywhere from 1 to 2 hours, and that sounds insane, but we talk about everything. Them as a couple, engagement session, like what your vibe is. We're going to talk about a timeline for your wedding day.
And I'm pausing her because everything she has just stated, you have been paid $0.
$0. They have not even put down a retainer yet.
You don't even know if they're going to book you.
Right.
So you are, number one, investing in a lot of couples. And I think a lot about real estate. A real estate agent doesn't get paid until after the transaction is done, if the transaction gets done.
Exactly.
Same thing with this. I mean, so it's like you might go through couples like this and then them not even book you.
Yes. And it's incredibly frustrating because we'll get down to signing the contract and then they'll say, a lot of the times they find somebody cheaper, which that's fine. That's fine. But I've invested hours of my time at this point. And so let's kind of make that decision before we invest hours at that point. Okay. So we're talking about a schedule, all the things. We're breaking it down all the way to hey, here's some places for bridesmaids dresses. I mean, I'm not kidding. I will give vendor recommendations, the whole nine.
So really you're giving them a lot of free resources.
Exactly.
That took you, you had to gain experience to even give that. So that's value right there.
100%. And again, I have not taken any money yet.
Right.
So we sign the contract. You're going to pay a retainer fee. That retainer fee is non-refundable. Mm-hmm. And the reason being is because how much work did I just put in?
Right.
That is that.
And you're saving the date.
And I'm saving the date. And my retainer, everyone's going to laugh, is $300.
That's very cheap.
That is very cheap. The reason being,
okay,
I personally do not like taking money from people and not rendering a service if something were to happen. I feel like $300, that's like my back end time. That's what that's paid for, right? Because a lot of the times, if somebody cancels their wedding, it's a day off for me. I'm not that butthurt about it. However, last year, every single October couple backed out 7 months before because they were all pregnant.
Okay, so
do you remember this?
I do remember this. And that is like you had said in a previous episode, this is your sole income. So
yes. That's
an oh shit moment.
Oh.
How am I going to pay my mortgage moment?
It was more than an oh shit moment. Sydney had a mental breakdown.
And like you said, photographers are booked out so far in advance that everyone's already found their person.
Yes, which I will say this year is a little different. We can talk about that in a little bit. But I ended up rebooking every date except for one, and then we went on a trip, so it was okay.
But that could have been really bad. And so, okay, you were talking about your prices. Our price for our non-refundable retainer also is $500 for this year, and then my 2025 contracts are $750.
Yeah.
I bumped it up because obviously our package prices went up, so just felt like it went up a little bit.
I will say, when we do photo video, because it's my husband does video, not on the scale of them. We do a little highlight, a little something. It's $600 because there's two of us. You know what I'm saying? Whereas we could divide and he could go do a wedding somewhere else, kind of situation.
And I kind of agree with you. I don't want to take someone's money
unless
I'm giving them a service. But I have had couples that have had to call off their wedding or whatever for whatever reason. And I tell them, if I rebook your date, I will send you back that retainer.
Yes.
I'm not just keeping your money to keep your money.
I don't.
Yeah.
And the reason being is because of how much back end work that I have.
True.
Especially if I've already done an engagement session, because that's
And
an
that's
entire
different.
planning on
Totally
its
different.
own. Well, they pay another fee at their engagement session.
Okay.
That's how I do it.
Okay.
Now, I know a lot of people do like 25% down, but if they're doing a package that's already included the engagement fee, costs, things like that.
Right.
So, okay. So that is that. Now we're going to talk about engagement session. Okay, well, now I'm going to help you plan that. Then I'm going to edit all those photos.
Help you coordinate your outfits.
Yes. Locations, making sure things make sense, giving you ideas, helping you build a Pinterest board. I mean, I could go on and on and on. Okay. We edit those. Then we do bridals. Same situation. I'm helping you plan your bridal session, making sure you have flowers, making sure you have a veil. I'm editing those photos. Then we get to wedding day. I do normally 2 more phone calls leading up to the wedding day, one about halfway there, and then the final call, which is about a month out. If I don't do 2 phone calls, I at least check in via text kind of thing.
Right.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a lot of back end work that people don't think about.
Well, and then, okay, you have to stay up to date on editing software, up to date on client software for questionnaire.
Yep.
There's so many things that you're doing behind the scenes.
Financially, how many services I pay for.
Sales tax.
Oh.
Editing software. I mean,
Canva to be able to make cute little story posts. I could go on and on and on. To be honest, because we're in tax season, I'll just be honest with you. I added up all of my like extras. So like editing software, my website domain, all of that like back end programs that I have to use to run my business. Do you want to guess how much I pay a year?
I don't know what.
Almost 10 grand.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
And I don't have that much, I would say, for videography.
It's crazy.
My main expense is music because it's so expensive. I think I spend probably $1,200 a year on software because it's a locked in thing. So you pay per month. Like you have to pay per month because you have a year subscription.
Yep.
But what if I don't work 1 or 2 months? I'm still paying. You know what I'm saying? So it's,
well, and you're right. So like most subscriptions are about $1,200 a year, and I have about 15 subscriptions.
oh, and then I guess my other like that you think about, okay, because I don't work every month. We don't work a lot of like July, which we actually have July and August weddings this year. Normally we don't.
Yeah.
But this year is different. But like we didn't have anything in January, and I still have to pay insurance.
Oh yeah.
Like liability insurance, even though, so it's like there is still, so we might have really good months, but we still have to pay for those other months that we don't do anything.
Oh, exactly.
It costs a lot to run a business.
And like I was telling Colleen, do you know how many miles I put on my car last year?
It's crazy.
51,000 miles. When I leave my house to a photo shoot that is out of town, I'm at least driving 200 miles round trip.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
So like a car lasts how many miles? So those are all expenses and things that people don't think about or people don't take into consideration when they start this business. Your car is going to wear out faster. You have to have nice clothes to wear to weddings. You have all these back end of subscriptions that you have to pay to keep your business running. You have to pay an accountant to keep up with your taxes and stuff.
And you
or
have
not, and then get audited.
Right. And then also you have to think about, are you having a bunch of different second shooters and you're having to write a bunch of 1099s? If you don't have the knowledge in that, you're having to pay your CPA to do your 1099s. That's an extra expense.
Right. And there's a lot of photographers that they don't 1099. They don't 1099 their seconds.
So then how are they writing that off?
They're not.
Well, then you're losing money.
Exactly.
So you're being taxed on money that's not there anymore.
Exactly.
So there's just so much to think about. And I would say on a business side, hire a good CPA.
100%.
Like we've been to the same CPA the whole time because we've always been self-employed in different avenues, and you cannot beat, which like I know Sydney has more knowledge in taxes.
Yeah. So my parents have always ran small business. So I literally started filing taxes when I was 12.
And taxes make me sweat, and I would rather pay someone else for that stress.
I'll vomit.
Yeah.
But
so, things to think about. So if you were starting in the industry tomorrow, knowing what you know now, having the experience you have now, how would you set yourself up for success sooner?
Pay for advertising. And I don't mean bridal like your local
Okay, so
bridal
what do you
magazine.
consider that?
I'm not talking about things like that.
That's a waste of money.
It is a waste of money. Now I will say Arkansas Brides probably, especially now because they're only sharing, or they shared on their stories the other day. This is a pet peeve of mine.
I didn't even read this. I don't follow. Okay.
That's fine. They shared on their stories. Do you want to be featured? A good way to be featured is to use the vendors that we love, aka the vendors that pay for their subscription for their magazine. I don't like that. I feel like that's kind of slimy, but whatever. I think that they are worth the money though.
Okay, so I was gonna say if I had to, like, I agree with that. We've had so many people like reach out for like, do you want to be in this magazine? I don't really find it.
No,
I don't
it's
find.
a scam.
Yeah, I don't find anything like that worth it.
No.
Arkansas Bride probably because it's like in our
Region.
location.
Yes.
I agree. But
Facebook, advertising, Instagram, but knowing how it works. It's not just paying for it. You need to do that back end research. Again, things that go into your business that nobody knows about. You have to know about SEO. Do you even know what that is?
right, or are you going to invest the money to pay someone who knows all of that?
Exactly. And you're talking to build a website, $3,000.
Oh yeah.
Easily. So I have so many people that find me because of Google, because I have a Google like business page, so where people can leave reviews and stuff like that. I have, I think, close to 50 5-star reviews, and so people see that and they automatically know that I'm credible, kind of
I
situation.
don't even think I need to do
You
that.
need to do that, yeah. Paying for advertising on Instagram, I'll just go ahead and say it. I'm not a gatekeeper. I spend about $100 a week on
Wow, I didn't know that.
on advertising through Instagram or through Facebook.
Just,
and
like, boosting it.
if I book one wedding, it paid for the advertising.
Right, I agree.
So it's knowing things like that.
Yeah.
I think, and I know yours is probably going to be networking because you have some planners that get you weddings.
I was gonna say once you I feel like everything you're saying is so valuable. So once you touch on that, then I'll touch on how like what I would.
And so like for me, I'm the total opposite. Not that I think networking is bad. It's not that, but I'm like a stay in my own lane and keep my head down kind of person, because the times that I've tried to step out and network, not that it's gone bad, but I've just realized that people aren't who you think they are.
Sometimes for sure.
And so for me, it's head down.
Yeah.
In my own lane, paying for boosting my posts on social media. I mean, I last week, again, open book, ask me anything. I got 5 out of state inquiries, one of them being in Maine, one being in Connecticut, one being in Alaska, one in Florida, and one in Vermont. Do you know how they found me?
How?
A Facebook ad.
So did you put that region you wanted it to be?
Yes.
In that. That's fine.
So if you want to travel,
That's a good idea. That is, yeah, all great information. I feel like looking back now, so I feel like Sydney had kind of touched on this, where I would say maybe higher end weddings stress you out.
Hey guys, just wanted to take a brief pause in the episode to tell you thank you for supporting our podcast. It would mean the world to us if you could subscribe to whatever platform you are listening on. Let's get back to the episode.
not my people. And it's not that I don't like people that spend money. That is not it at all in the slightest. I love people. Like,
Yeah.
I will tell anybody, I have a love-hate relationship with people, but for the most part, I love people. It's just the higher end, the crowd, I'm not fancy. Look at me. I have a ball cap on. Like, I got some cutoff pants on. I look like a scrub.
You are fancy too, though. You can be.
I can be. I have on a Gucci watch, like, but I will say I grew up a super poor kid. I'm just not gonna lie. There have been times I've slept in my car in my life, okay? I'm a very like no frills person. And so for me, I feel like I cannot authentically represent the frilly people.
And so I feel like that's also a good thing for a bride to book what your style is.
Oh, 100%.
If your style isn't bougie, don't book a bougie photographer. If your
Right.
style is bougie, book a bougie
Right,
photographer.
like you could have a wedding at a $10,000 venue and it not be an over the top, super frilly wedding.
Absolutely.
I like intimate. I like backyard weddings are my favorite thing. I love the real working class person. Like, I don't know. I can relate better. And I feel like I do a better job representing those people. And that's just my
preference.
experience.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, now I have some super frilly weddings and
I'd say I feel like you're doing a fairly early wedding coming up.
yes.
And you're gonna knock it out of the park. Like you
And
do,
it's going
you
to
know
be
what I mean?
great.
Yeah.
But if somebody came to me and they're like, these two clients are going to pay you the exact same thing. One's going to be at a $15,000 wedding venue, completely over the top everything, and one's going to be a backyard wedding, and they're going to let me have free creative reign and not give me a shot list that I'm nailed down to all day, I'm going to pick backyard wedding every time.
And see, I'm probably the opposite spectrum.
See, and I
don't know why.
No, I know.
It's
Like,
just, there's nothing right or wrong about anything we're talking about.
No, but like when somebody gives me a shot list, I want to throw up because all day I'm obsessed with the list.
Making sure you got it.
Yes, and then the creativity goes out the window.
Yeah, so I get that. So I would say on my spectrum, I don't know why I love the over the top weddings. Like I said, if you listen to our last podcast, that was not my wedding, but I do love I appreciate them.
Right.
And so I feel like if you were that kind of person that wants to get in those weddings, my honest opinion would be planners, planners, planners. Because most times if you're going to have a bride or a couple that is in a higher end wedding, they're going to have a higher end planner. And that higher end planner
is going to hire you.
Is the one hire, you know, going through people. But I am telling you, they will only hire or recommend their favorites.
Yep. Oh,
and
100%.
And that's nothing wrong with that. It's because they've worked with that person. They know what that person can deliver. They know what that person's energy is going to be on the wedding day. They don't have any questions. They're not going to have, oh my gosh, this person ruined this. You know, there's no mess ups when you have a super high end planner.
No.
There's no room for mess ups.
No.
So I feel like once you can make those connections and they can see your work and they can see your work ethic, they're going to recommend. Like, I can't tell you how many weddings we have this calendar year because of one planner who obviously likes everything about us, I guess you would say, you know, and she's one of ours. Like, no, we don't book every wedding that she reaches out. She's like, hey, send me your price list, blah, 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 blah. I send it, and then some of her clients book, some of her clients don't. It's everyone's different, right? But I'm telling you, if you can get in good with a planner, that's how you get.
I mean, and even in my world, there's a couple of good, like, not super high end, you know, that same, like, they recommend me. I think making good connections wherever you go is a good thing. I agree. Like, networking is a big deal. But networking with not just people in your own genre.
Right.
So, like, reaching out to florists or planners or venue owners or whatever.
Which, and that's another thing, too, is some venues, I mean, maybe all venues have it. Some venues have, what do you call that?
Oh, a preferred vendors list. Yeah.
And we have, like, one venue that we're on their preferred venues. And so we have a lot of weddings there, but I don't mind that.
I'm the same way about my place, you know? I'm the same way. And like a lot of people, they're like, oh, because of the lighting. But like, I've got it down to a T and I love it. It's like comfort.
It's like your second home.
It really is.
And, you know, some people are like, oh, I don't want to do the same thing over and over again. And it's like, yes, but every wedding is different. Every couple personality is different.
The decorating.
So, yeah.
I mean, everything is so different.
So just because you're at the same venue doesn't mean you can't make it fun or it feels like it's a chore.
Exactly.
Like, do something different. Switch it up.
I agree.
Let's just talk about something as in the industry. I see good and bad. People are like, other vendors think that they are entitled to photographers' pictures.
Yeah.
So like they might message you and be like, hey, can I have these pictures to post on my website or post on my social media? Do you want to take that over? What do you think about that?
So I don't mind. What I do mind though is when I have to redo somebody's work, but yet they still want to have the pictures to share.
Okay, what do you mean?
So I've had like hair and makeup. I've had to literally go in and Photoshop hair. I've had to literally go in and Photoshop makeup. But then they want the pictures and I'm like, this does not authentically represent your work. But you can't say that to them.
Right.
So I just send it anyways.
That makes sense though.
But I am one of those people and I don't consider this shit talking. if somebody asks me an opinion about a vendor and I've worked with them, I'm going to be honest.
You're not shit talking, you're giving your experience.
Exactly. And I never ever want to tear anybody down. Like, I want to make that so clear. I'm super supportive, I feel like, of everybody. If anybody needs help, come to me and ask. Like, I'm an open book. But I will say, like, I am honest with people. If I've had bad experiences, if you're rude to me, if, you said you were going to do something, but then you didn't do that. I mean, those are all things that get communicated. And so it's one of those things, like, as a vendor, if you show up on a wedding day, like, you need to be giving 150% all day long.
No matter what.
No matter what.
No matter what's going on.
I don't care if this is like backyard, hillbilly, we're going on a hayride wedding. If they paid you $4,500 to be there, by golly, you better be freaking doing the same work you would be if you were at a $15,000 venue.
Exactly. I mean, they paid you for a service. They didn't pay you because you have expectations of their wedding.
I mean, I've had people that their entire budget was me.
Same.
And to me, that's an honor and almost more pressure than a regular day. Yeah. Because you're like, well, I don't have all the prettiness that I normally do to help. So I'm going to go above and beyond to make sure that this is like...
Well, that's like a hot take of if you can only produce good work because your couple had a ball and budget that was amazing, or you just have a model of a couple, like, or model personality, like, you can bring that out in anyone. So you need to not be like, well, this wedding was crap, it's not going to be good for my portfolio. Or what did you bring to the table?
Right. Did
you help, like... So yeah, I agree with that.
But when it comes down to sharing photos, I'm always going to share photos. It doesn't bother me. I don't care. Now, if you're putting my stuff in a magazine and you're using it for your advertising, you better freaking tag me, because I've had people that have done that, and I will message them and I will call them out all day long, because that's theft. If you are publishing somebody's work and not putting their name on that work, that's theft. Point blank, period.
That's what, like, so we worked with photographers before that after the wedding day, they will send, like, after the sneak peek and everything, they will send to all the vendors and have, like, all the vendors in the email, like, hey, here's our link, here's our download, like, please tag our socials or whatever. And I'm like, how amazing is that?
See, I don't do that. I don't have time. Well, okay. I should be better, but
it's good, like, cross-referencing, because then this baker might, you know what I mean? Like, now, here's the things. If you're another vendor, this is things to know. Do not edit photographers' work.
No.
So I don't care if it matches your grid or not. Like, if it doesn't match your grid, don't use it then.
Right.
But don't
post it to your stories.
Right. Don't, like, alter their color work. And then also tag them, because you wouldn't have that amazing item without them.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's, I agree with that. Okay. Super random take before we wrap up this episode. I feel like, do you feel like we've done
great?
Yeah. I feel like we've done everything about this. Okay. So my random hot take that I was thinking about, which I know it'll never change, but it's just something that if you're, planning a wedding, I was thinking about, I don't like it whenever everyone stands up while the bride walks down the
Same.
aisle.
I've been recommending for parents only, or like the first or second aisle only, just because camera view, like, it blocks everything when people stand. Plus, I feel like parents don't get to see until the very end, and I'm sorry, they're the most important people in that audience, and they really, I believe, should be able to see you your entire way down the aisle.
Mm-hmm. So our videography standpoint, we have 2 tripods on each side.
Right.
We have the camera, whoever's like main leader or whatever, and then we have another person who is getting the groom. Whenever they stand up, our 2 cameras are completely blocked by people's heads, no matter how tall we have it.
Yep.
So those cameras are gone. Now we are relying on the other 2 cameras, and I just feel like the bride is washed out. Like, if she's walking down the aisle, like, she's the same height
Oh, is everybody else?
as everybody else.
Yep.
So I don't know if everyone's seated. And then you're also blocking the only people who can truly see them is the people on the inside of the aisle.
Oh, exactly.
So if everyone is seated, though, you could totally turn around and see.
Oh, exactly.
I mean, why isn't that trending?
I don't know.
I think like my dream wedding was like one of those aisles where it's like the couple's right in the middle.
Yes.
I don't know how that would look as a guest standpoint because obviously vendors are going to be in front of them, but I think it would be really cool.
Well, I did one back in January where it was like crescent moon shape.
That's cool.
And then there was like down the aisle and nobody stood. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it was only like 4 rows of chairs, but she walked like a good amount. And it was so cool because as a photographer, I could go and stand all the way around and I could get guest face like reactions and stuff. Where a lot of the times there's not room for that. I can't do that because there's nowhere to stand. Because a lot of the times the aisle's going all the way wall to wall. Do you see what I'm saying?
No, so what I think is like, if you had to say the best layout is where all the people, like you were saying, the moon shape or whatever, and where the pastor, whoever is marrying you, is not blocking anyone, but they're standing on the opposite side. So the couple is facing the people.
Yep.
And like you said, your vendors are on this side. We are blocking absolutely no one.
Yep.
And we get to see the couple, the person marrying you, and all of your favorite people. We get to see their face.
Yep.
Not the back of their head.
Exactly.
That's my
Dream.
dream.
There
you go. All right. I think that this ends this episode.
It does.
If you guys have any questions, like we would love to hear feedback from you guys.
Yeah, for sure. And like what you want to know about or hear about.
What do you want us to talk about?
If you have some crazy stories, please, we will read them.
Yes, and we don't have to, like, if you don't want to be tagged, we won't tag you. But if you want to be tagged, we'll tag you.
We also have a Google Drive that you can anonymously submit.
Yes.
Just saying.
Absolutely.
Just saying. Okay.
All right. That's it.
All right. Bye, y'all.
See you next time.
As we finish this episode, we want to say a big thank you to all of the support on our podcast. You can find us at Black Tie Opt Podcast. We are on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Thank you so much for supporting our podcast.